online yoga class. This is exciting. You guys know I'm Tony, this is Courtney. If you haven't met her, she's one of our teachers here. She teaches Silk Flow and Bar X, a little yoga, a little Pilates, a little bit of everything. Also teaches gymnastics and is famous for our kids class here at True Definition. Anyway, she's going to be helping me out. I hurt my knee hiking in Sedona, so this is a perfect opportunity. We'll use her body, we'll use some modifications if we need to, and I'll be teaching while she does this. It's a little bit of a shorter class. We're going to do about 40 minutes, but perfect if you're on a time crunch at home. So let's get started. So you're going to sit in cross legs, and just take your hands on your knees. Your palms can be up or down, and close your eyes for a moment, and just take a second to settle in. So it's always good at the beginning of any practice, especially yoga, to notice how your body's feeling, right? Notice how your mind's feeling. What's going on in there? How's your body? Where are you tense or sore? And just taking that inventory for a moment without judgment. And then keeping your eyes closed, let's just start to circle the shoulders. So big circles up and down, all the way to the ears, all the way back. The bigger you make it, the more tension you'll be able to release. And don't forget to breathe. Good, and then let's reverse that. We'll go the other way. And then relaxing the shoulders down. Take your hands down behind you and just lift the chest. You can open your eyes and maybe the head drops back. So just creating a little extension in the spine. Again, if you feel tension, just noticing. And then we'll release on an exhale. Walk the hands forward in front of you as far as you can go. Courtney's obviously going to be more flexible than most people, so don't worry about where your head is. Keep your butt grounded down and just reach long through the arms. Good, walk the hands back in. And then let's reach up, interlace, flip your palms up, stretch, and then release the right hand down behind you. Left arm will come across to the right knee. Good. And then nice and tall. Good. And then unwind, we'll reach up again, interlace, flip the palms, and twisting to the other side. So left hand is down, right arm across. And again, really tall, not crunching in the shoulders. Good. And then unwind. Take the soles of the feet together. And then really tall back and just leaning forward. Good. You can hold on to your feet, yeah. Just think about lifting the chest and lifting even the gaze a little bit, because that flat back is going to give you more, as you'll feel, right? If you slump, you lose some of that stretch in the hip flexors. Table facing that direction. So just come on to hands and knees. And we'll work some cat and cow. So inhale to arch and exhale to round the back. So when you're doing this movement, your whole spine is moving, but particularly the focus is on the upper back. So thinking about the shoulder blades going towards each other and then away from each other. So we're really working that upper back. Lower back is moving too, but not overdoing it in the lower back, right? So you're sticking your butt out, but not as much as you can, right? Like maybe 80%, back it off a little bit. As much as we like to all stick our butts out, you know? Get a couple more. And this is also really relaxing. Do this before bed. It helps kind of settle the spine, helps you sleep. Go ahead, come back to neutral. And let's add a balance. So reach your right arm forward and then left leg back behind you. Good. And just holding it there. So you're trying to square the left hip down. Perfect. Engaging through the core. Good. Keeping that right hand out, Courtney, see if you can take the left leg and just start to move it toward the mirror, so toward the left. So challenging your core a little bit. Yeah. Perfect.
Hold it.
Yep, holding it there. And then release. Good. So, I'm realizing that you're going to kick the wall if you do that side. So that's okay. Like I said, trial and error, guys. There you go. Turn around. Let's do left arm, right leg. Good. Hold the balance first. Square the hip down first. And make sure your head's neutral. It looks pretty neutral there. So when you're doing this at home, just watching if you're lifting your chin too high or you're tucking it down. You want a nice long neck. Sometimes I've heard people say don't put wrinkles in the back of your neck, right? That helps that image of keeping it long. Good. Keep your arm where it is and then start to take the right leg towards me. Good. Exactly. Keep pulling the belly in. And then release. It's harder than it looks, right? It really is. She makes it look easy. It is not easy. I don't think my leg goes that far either. So we're going to come to downward dog. So tucking the toes, lifting the knees up. So in downward dog, you really want to get your back flat. So Courtney, can you do it incorrectly for a second where you're kind of rounding? Yeah, see how she's kind of rounding and scooped? Even there, that's not too bad of an incorrect down dog, but the flatter you can get, the better. So you have your tighten the hamstrings, you'll want a little bend in the knees, and then belly moves toward the thighs. Good. Let your heels sink down. So they're not gonna touch most likely, but you want them to sink. And then that's where you're gonna feel a nice deep calf stretch also. So Courtney, this is a little short for your down dog. Because you're flexible, it probably feels fine. But I would say walk your hands a little bit more toward the top of the mat. Yeah, because you are tall. Yes, perfect. Nice. So if you're at home, you want to test the stance of your downward dog. Shift into plank. So go ahead, Courtney, shift into your plank. So when you're in plank, yep, that should be your perfect position. Then lift your hips up, back to downward dog, and you shouldn't really have to change your hands and feet. Don't take what I say super literally though. It might feel better for you to have a shorter stance, and that's fine, but that is a general note. Are you slipping on that mat?
Not much.
Okay.
I pushed my fingertips, so I'm good.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So listen, I went through at least 30 mats before I found one that I liked, but when you do slip, it is a good opportunity to say, what are your muscles doing, right? Where can you engage more? So spreading through the fingers, sinking through the heels, that looks good. So first down dog is always nice to hold, but that was a long time. So go ahead, lift your gaze. Let's step the right foot through. Good, and then drop the back knee down to the mat. At home, if your knee is sensitive, you can always put a blanket or something under. Go ahead, sweep the arms up for a low lunge. Good. Exactly. So lifting the chest, and as you can see, I'm looking at this video right now, and her alignment and her knee is great, right? Her knee is pretty much right over her ankle. It's passing it just a little bit, but enough that I can see her heel is down and she's fully supported. So you want to be careful not to do it incorrectly. Courtney, do you want to show? Don't hurt your knee doing it though. Yeah, where you're way up and then your heel even lifts, right? It's too much. So go ahead, back to the regular stance. Nice. Take your hands to heart center, so prayer hands. You're going to twist towards me and take the left elbow down. Good. So when you're doing this, use the leverage of pushing the left elbow down to open the chest up, and then if you want, you can lift the back knee up. You don't have to. That's an option. Yeah, not today. That's fine. Even if you're not lifting, I could see in Courtney's foot that she's really engaged, right? You still want to be engaged in that leg. So your heel is pressing, her toes are pressing, hips are working, and then lifting is just an option. Good. Unwind. Straighten through your front leg. Take your hands down toward the mat and then straighten through the front leg, but keep your back knee down, although that you can always do that as an option too. There you go. Flex the right foot. This is our half split. So take the right hip back in space so you're squaring the hips more. So yeah, good. And then just think about lifting the chest up. So for this one, everybody's level of flexibility is totally different. So try to not sink your butt back to your heels so you're a little back like this. So come up so it's really like your butt's right over your knee, and then you can fold a little deeper without worrying about balancing, up. Yeah, especially because you're flexible. You'll get more towards a split that way. Good.
I don't feel flexible.
Well, I know how that feels, but to the average person, you definitely will be. Good, so come back into a lunge, so bending the leg, and plant your hands flat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee up, step back to plank. So just hold your plank for a moment. Good. So in your plank, your shoulders should be over the wrists, right? Slowly, with control, lowering down into a push-up with your elbows at your sides. Beautiful. Good, and rest there for a moment. Guys, you do not have to do a full push-up. You can always drop down to the knees, do a half push-up, or skip it all together. Slide your hands back a little bit more towards your chest, good, and then press up for your upward dog or cobra. So if you go about halfway, it's cobra. Upward dog, the arms are straight. technically, Courtney, flip your feet so your tops of your feet are down. Technically, upward dog, you push down into the tops of the feet and lift the thighs off of the mat. If that's not working for your back, you absolutely do not do it. So everyone, listen to your body. It's just a back bend. It doesn't have to be full. Now, tuck the toes, pull the belly in, and lift up and back to downward dog. So it's a very slow vinyasa with lots of cueing. This is a little bit of a slower paced class today, but this is good. It's a good foundational class, and it's always good, even if you're advanced, to go back to the basics and break down everything. So let's do those on the other side. So look up, step the left foot through, drop the right knee down, and reach the arms up for your low lunge on this side. Good. Sinking into it, lift the chest. So this is a bit of a back extension, a back bend also. Again, great alignment in the knees, so everybody just noticing that. And just remember in general, if something doesn't feel good, modify it or skip it. Feeling good, Courtney? Mm-hmm. Good, good. Okay, shift your hips back, and then we'll do that half split. So your butt really stays over the right knee, and then your left leg can scoot forward. Good. Flex, and then squaring the hips. So left hip back, right hip forward. Yeah. Flex that foot a lot, and then lift the chest. So think about almost taking your chest towards your toes rather than head toward the foot. Good. Yeah. Good. Coming back into the lunge, we'll come to that twist. So hands to heart center. Take a twist to the left. Right elbow down, good. Exactly. So you're pushing down into the right arm and you're using that as leverage to open out. And if you don't reach the leg, you might have limitations in your spinal rotation. That's okay, just stay in the prayer hands. Again, option to lift the knee if you're there today. Otherwise, stay active, sinking those hips down. Yeah, because a lot of times in this lunge, what you'll see or feel is that your butt wants to go back and you lose that. If you look under Courtney's legs, you will see a triangle shape. That's what you want to see. If she lifted her butt back, can you do it wrong for a second? Like lift your butt back. Yep. That becomes more of a square or like a sort of, I'm thinking of the Sedona Mountains, but it's sort of a chopped, like a cut off pyramid if you don't sink. Good. You can unwind, take the hands down. Lift the back knee, step back, plank, and we'll run through the vinyasa. So lower through a push-up. Modify if needed, press up to your back bend of your choice. Good, and then exhale back to your downward dog. And each time you do down dog, you should feel a little bit more loose, right? A little bit more stretched. Supposedly it's going to be a resting pose one day. I'm still waiting for that. Like 20 years of doing yoga, it's still not a resting pose. Mm-hmm. All right. From there, look up and then walk your feet up to your hands. Stay in that forward bend. So once you're there, let's take a nice forward fold. So hands can go, let's say anywhere of your choosing, toes, ankles, calves. Notice where the weight is in your feet. So shifting forward if you need to. Immediately our bodies always want to do what makes it easier. So we want to shift into the heels. Try to shift a little forward, you'll feel more of a stretch. Just like in downward dog when I was talking about flat back, same thing here. You want to keep your back as flat as you can. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So shift your weight a little forward in your feet, Courtney. Just like a little more toward the toes. Yes. So if you have a mirror at home, take a look at where your hips are. Like Courtney can look over at me now. That's exactly why I have trouble with mirrors. I always want to fix myself. But if you do see a mirror, you will be able to see, like Courtney, go back to shifting into your heels the wrong way. You'll see how your hips are way behind the ankles. Like if you look in the mirror, do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? So if you shift forward, that's a whole lot more of a stretch. Yeah. So if you do have a mirror, it's good to do. If not, just try to follow those cues as best you can. And seeing it, and Courtney will help you feel it in yourself. So from there, let's come to the half fold position. So just take your fingertips to your shins and flatten out. Yeah, exactly. And still that weight shift forward. This should be even deeper of a forward bend almost than the other one because there's no release. It's all hamstrings, right? Good. Bend the knees, plant the hands down on the mat, and step back to plank again. We'll lower down through push-up. That's your exhale. Inhale as you press up to a back bend. Good, and then exhale, downward dog. Awesome. Nice. Look up, step the right foot forward. This time, spin the back heel down, and we'll rise up for warrior two. So arms to a T. Good, exactly. So same thing here with that knee over ankle alignment. Arms are reaching long, gaze is over the right hand. Good. Keep your legs exactly as they are. Turn the right palm and reach the right arm up. Left hand rests down on the left leg. Good for your peaceful or passive. I used to always call it passive warrior, and then no one ever knew what I meant. I don't know why I learned that first, but I did. So most people call it peaceful warrior, Shanti warrior, which means peace. Good. And when you're in this pose, it's really easy to lose the bend in the leg. Courtney has not lost the bend. It looks great. Come back to warrior two. Keep that same bend in the leg. So we're going to burn out your leg a little bit. Reach forward with the arms, and then take the right forearm down to the right leg. So let's stay on the leg. So bend your elbow. Yeah, and then reach the left arm over. Yeah. So there's many variations on side angle, and some people call it, Bikram has a version where he calls this triangle with the hand down on the ground, so it can get confusing. With her arm extended like this is extended side angle. It's one of my favorite poses. I love pushing down into the right arm and just opening the chest more and then dropping the shoulders. It just feels so good, like you stretch through all the side body muscles that we ignore so often, right? And now here's the challenge in that leg. Keep your leg bending. Come back to warrior two. Try not to move the bend. Oh yeah, feel the burn, right? Good. Straighten the front leg. Reach forward again, and now we'll come to triangle. So right hand comes down to the shin. If you have at home, if you have a block or a weight or anything for under the hand. Now that with the arm that way, it's extended triangle, and with the arm straight up, it's your just regular average triangle. Good. But this is such an, again, nice, beautiful pose. I like any of the side bending postures because we don't stretch the lateral body in our normal everyday lives, right? We don't. We rotate, we fold, and we open, but we don't side bend. That looks good. So a good test here, try to lift your right hand and don't move anything. Just for a second, yeah. So that and your core is working a lot. The point is you don't want to put too much weight in your hands. Good. Come back up to warrior two, bend the knee. Inhale. And then exhale, take the hand down and step back to plank. You're still exhaling as you lower through push-up. And then inhale up. Good. Exhale, downward dog. And we've got a whole nother side to do. Yay! All right, look up and we'll step the left foot through. Spin the back heel, rise up, warrior two, arms to a T. Good. Arms are nice and reaching. So if I were to go over to Courtney and push her arm down, it wouldn't move, right? If you're strong and you're really active in the arms, they don't move. They're nice and solid. Good. We'll do our peaceful warrior. So turn the front palm and then reach up. So you can look up, you can turn your gaze and look down, as long as your neck is comfortable. Yeah, I like actually looking down like that. It feels better on my neck, yeah. I like it. I think it looks pretty. Good. So from there, back to your warrior two. Keep the leg bending, reach forward, take the forearm down to the leg. Yep, and then reach the other arm over. So extended side angle. And then that same thing that I was talking about, push down into the arm, right, and open out. Good, so Courtney's doing a great job over here of opening in the chest. But just to give an example, a lot of times people will be like this, right? Shoulders crunched and just reaching. So you really want to open up. If you're reaching the arm over, great. But if you find yourself doing this when you reach over, then just keep your arm up, right? And just this shoulder needs to be down. So just little tips. Because then you'll feel how good this pose really is. Keep that leg bending. Feels good. Come up to warrior two. Feel the burn. Nice. Good. And then straighten the front leg. Reach forward and come down for a triangle. And we'll just do regular triangle. Good. So you're reaching straight up. You got it. And again, this is a nice rotation, opening the chest up. Looks great. And always don't forget to breathe, right? They say it's not yoga if you're not breathing. That's your life force, right? Good. One more breath. And then rise back up. Bend your knee. Good. And we'll sweep the hands down, stepping back to plank and lowering through push-up, chaturanga. Inhale up, and exhale, downward dog. So if you hear people say your vinyasa, if you're not a yoga person, because I know I got a lot of my Pilates peeps out there, so if you haven't done yoga, your vinyasa just means flow, and many yoga teachers will say vinyasa, meaning that sequence of a push-up to a back bend to downward dog. Chaturanga is not the action of pushing up, it's actually the midpoint. So Courtney, come to plank again. Come about halfway down with the elbows and hold. That is chaturanga. It's the actual pose. Hard to hold, yes? Go ahead, come back up. Ooh, I'm gonna make you work, good. Downward dog. So just so you know, if you ever hear chaturanga, that is that pose. Okay, so from there, look up again, and we'll walk the feet up to the hands. Let's take a fun forward fold. Do you have any rings on?
I do.
Okay, so I would turn them or take them off. You're gonna step on your hands. I always just turn mine because I know I'll leave it or lose it if I take it off. But you're gonna take your hands underneath your feet. So sliding them all the way under. So for most people, you will have to bend the knees. So Courtney doesn't have to because she's got long limbs and she's also flexible. But like many people will have to bend very deep together. The goal is to try to get your hand completely under your feet so that your toes are actually pushing into the wrist crease and it becomes actually like a massage for your wrist actually. Did I say actually like 10 times? I think I did. I think I did.
Actually, you did.
Actually, you did. So shift your weight a little forward again so you feel that. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good hamstring stretch, but also wrist. And it makes you have that bind, that connection, which makes it a little bit deeper. At the same time, notice what your shoulders are doing, right? And try to draw them away from the ears. Yeah. Good. And then releasing. And let's roll all the way up to standing. Good. Reach the arms up and just interlace, pointer fingers extended. Good. So, Courtney is very tall, so you may not be able to see what her hands are doing. You will have no problem seeing my hands. So pointer fingers are extended, arms are by the ears, shoulders down. Take the feet a little closer together, so look just maybe like an inch apart. And then really lengthen, inhale, and on the exhale, you're just going to take a half moon, so going to the right first. So your hands are reaching to the right, and your hips are moving over to the left. Again, lateral flexion. Come back to center and inhale. I know you're a little close to the wall, but I think you'll be okay. And go over to the left, and the hips are moving to the right. Good. And then back to center. Take your hands to heart center, and then just so we can see you, turn towards me, so take a quarter turn. Good. We're going to work on just tree pose. So shift the weight over into the right foot, and we will take the left foot into tree. So you can take the left foot onto any part of your leg, just don't push into the knee. So it can be calf, ankle, even toes on the floor, all the way up to the thigh, just not pushing into your standing knee. This is a hip opener. So the idea is to open that knee as much as you can, right? So, do it together. All right, although I should be careful with my knee. But to open the hip, a little tip that I like, and sometimes this pose is so easy, let's make it harder. For some people it's easy. Everybody's different. But if you feel like it's easy, let's make it harder. Right, exactly. So to open the hip, you want that left heel to come forward and the toes to point back. That little action of moving the foot rather than pointing your toes forward, right, it immediately opens your hip. At the same time, notice if you're doing anything funky here, you want to square the hips, belly in, yep. If it really feels easy, try closing your eyes, and then it's a whole other ball game. That's with any balance, just even coming onto the tippy toes and doing that right, it's hard. Good. So let's release, we'll just go right into the other side. So bring it in, good, and then we'll switch. So left leg, anywhere, and it doesn't have to be equal. You know, you might have one hip that's more open than the other side. Good. Exactly. And then same thing, try to get it so your toes point back and your heels point forward, but then don't hike the hip up, because that's what happens to me. As soon as I do that, I have this weird thing going on where I'm hiking my hip, right?
Sides are as cooperative.
Sides are never the same. Close the eyes if you want a little extra challenge. And then bring it forward, and we'll release. Good. While we're facing forward, let's open to a nice wide stance. Turn the toes out. Good. Take the arms up. You're going to come into goddess arms. So elbows come up as high as the shoulders. Go take them back behind you a little bit, and then bend the knees. Exactly. Some people call this a horse squat. I usually refer to it as goddess. Your tail should be tucked under a bit, knees are opening out, and just sinking into it. It's fun. Not easy. So let's activate through the obliques a little bit. So you're going to take your cactus arms or your goddess arms and just tilt your body to one side. So it's not in the arms, it's in the body, right? And then come back up to center. That's your inhale, and exhale to the other side. It's a really good side crunch if you're focusing and you're pulling your belly in, especially on the way up. Use the abs. Good. To the side and center. Keep going. To the side and center. Good. To the side and center. We'll do one more on each side. To the side and center. Other side. To the side and center and release. Good. Turn the toes straight forward and then take a forward fold. So hands will come down. Nice. Let the head hang. You can definitely go wider with your stance, Courtney. Everyone else at home, think of it like this. Your stance, you should be taking up the same amount of space on your mat that you do in downward dog, in plank. Remember how I said that stance, right, from downward dog to plank is the same? That is also your stance width in your warriors, in your wide forward fold. So it's a pretty good ballpark. Everybody's body is different, but it helps you kind of with alignment. If you've ever seen some mats that actually have marks on them or lines, that can be helpful too. Now, Courtney, turn your toes a little more straight forward so you're naturally in that outward rotation. Yeah, that'll be a little bit more in the hamstrings. And anything you want to do with the arms here, just breathe. All the same principles on your forward fold apply here. So flat back, shifting the weight a little forward. Even there with the arms hanging, think about drawing the shoulders away from the ears a little bit. Good. And then from there, take the hands down, turn the toes back outward. We'll go a little bit side to side. I can't really do this at all to demonstrate, or I would. So your center is a squat, and then shift all the way to one side. Yep, and then the other side. So your option, just keep going fluidly. So one side, and then center squat, and then it's like a one-legged lunge, a squat in the center, and then the other side. You take this as far as you want to take it. So I like to keep my heel down. Most people keep their heel lifted like Courtney is showing. And also that opposite foot, flex it. Yes, exactly. So come center and then switch. Now if you want to get fancy, not that you do, try it with no hands. Just even one round. It's hard. It's that lift coming up right now. Oh, yeah. And always pausing in the middle, it will give you more work. Just do one more on each side. We're almost done with the hard stuff. Then you get to relax.
My feet always want to point.
Yes, the dancer in you. From there, let's just roll up to standing all the way up. Good. Walk the feet in. We're going to do one more balance. It's like a star balance. Reach the arms up with the palms forward. Yeah. It's just fun to do. Like, why is this like a fun pose? Right? It's like, it just makes you happy. Like, I feel like you can't do this and be miserable. So try it at home. But from here, shift your weight to the right foot and start to lift the leg up. Remember in the beginning we did our table like this? It's the same kind of a concept. So how high can you lift the leg without tilting your body? It's a little side crunch, core work. Flex the foot, reach. Breathe. It's a challenge. Right? I'm shaking just from doing that. And then slowly bring it in. And we'll shift over. Try to keep the arms active if you can. And then lift. And you'll notice one side immediately. It could be a number of things. Maybe your standing leg is stronger, or maybe your hip is less open on one side. This side feels harder for me.
The other side for me.
I'll have you guys know, we didn't even plan our coordinating outfits.
No. Too bad you didn't braid your hair today.
I almost did. I swear I almost did. It's too knotted. Let's release and just roll that out. It should feel good. So take a turn back this way and then come to the top of the mat. Good. We're going to come into my least favorite pose. I'm going to let you do it. Is chair. So bend the knees, and sweep the arms up. Hold. We're not going to stay there for too long. So in your chair, tail is tucked under and the weight is pushing into the heels. So your toes should be free. That's important or else, again, your knees will have too much pressure. Good. From there, as slow as you can, sit down. So, see how the heels come up to protect the knees, and then go ahead, plop down as slow as you can. Good. Plop isn't probably the right word. But as I say in my teacher trainings, there's always the plop factor. Right? Everybody has a plop factor, making your plop factor as little as possible. Good. So you're already there with the soles of the feet together. So if you're not there at home, take the soles of the feet together. But let's do more of a starfish fold since we did do this bound angle pose already in the beginning. So slide your feet out a little bit more until you have more of a diamond shape in the legs, but the feet are still together. Exactly. And now everything I told you about flat back, forget it here, and just round and hang out. Yeah, whatever you want to do, rest the hands. This is more of a just relaxing spinal release kind of a pose. It's still a hip opener, but not as intense in the hips. It's nice. It should feel good. It reminds me a little bit of doing fortune cookie in the aerial silks, you know? Good. And then walk it back in and extend the legs out in front of you. Legs are together and feet are flexed. Good. Let's reach the arms up. Inhale, and on the exhale, hinge from the hips and fold over the legs. Let the hands land wherever they land. So you can grab, if you want a little leverage to pull, sure, you can grab the feet or the ankles. But just know it's not the goal to grab the feet. It's more about the flat back. So we're back to flat back now, just trying to confuse you. But lift the chest and leaning into it, exactly. And same thing, shoulders down, and breathe. You feeling that? Good. And then we'll release. And make sure you have enough room on your mat behind you. So Courtney's tall, you probably want to scoot forward a little bit. But at home, make sure you have that space, and then we're going to, controlling it, roll down. So extend the legs out first, reach the arms in front of you, and then roll down slow. Use your abs. Good. And then resting down. Nice. Take the knees into the chest and hug them in and just roll around a little bit. So whatever feels good. There might be a spot that feels tense. It's like a massage. The closer you bring the knees in, the higher up the back it goes, right? If you want more of a lower back massage, let the knees come further away from you so you can control it. Good. And then let's take a reclined twist. So Courtney's close to the wall, so she's not going to be able to take her arms to a T. So let's do those cactus arms that we did in our goddess squat. Yeah, and same thing with you at home, depending on the room. Good, you can drop to the left, and then you're going to look over to the right. Yeah, so again, cactus arms are fine, or arms to a T if you have more room. Sometimes I just like how cactus arms feel. Now, the closer the knees are in to the chest, the more of a twist it's going to be. So you can also make it easier by taking the knees away or deepen by pulling it in. Yeah, and that's also a nice option. The opposite hand can come to the knee. So it would be left hand to right knee. And gently guiding the legs down. Good, and then let's switch. So come in through center and drop over to the other side, looking the opposite way. Nope, still need to move over a little bit. Good. You got it. So the right hand can come down on the thighs. Look over to your left. Exactly.
I love this stretch.
Isn't it a nice stretch? So I'll give you a little adjustment here. But you look great. But just something that, since you like it, something that feels really good. Exactly. Something that feels really good is elongating this way. So this hip coming down feels amazing. So if you even want to do it yourself, take the heel of your hand and push Exactly, doesn't that feel awesome? And then the other thing you could do is bend that arm and kind of just touch your shoulder. Like, think about pushing that shoulder down while you push this away. And it looks a little awkward, like when you do it, but it feels really good. And if you have someone that can do it for you, even better. Good, and then release and come back to center. Just center yourself back on your mat. Good. And we'll do a shoulder bridge. So plant the feet close to your butt, fingertips by the heels. Good. And then lift the hips. So everybody's different with shoulder bridge, right?
Hands.
Let's interlace, yeah. Option to not interlace if you have any shoulder issues, right? Option to do a restorative version. Put a pillow or a block or something under the lower back and just sit there. You will still get the benefit of inverting, right? Of letting that blood flow go to the heart, regardless of if you're holding yourself up or if you're doing it in a restorative way. Now, the idea for this is to try to get your hips up as high as the knees. Now, Courtney, I know she has more of a back bend than this, so I'm going to tell you to lift up more. Yeah, I know. Now, if I didn't know, that looked really good, but I know she's got a little bit more of that back bend in her because I've seen some pretty crazy wheels that she's done before. The knees and feet will love to splay out here. Try not to let that happen. Good, and then slowly go ahead and lower back down. Nice. Take the right ankle over to the left knee and flex that foot exactly. Move the right knee away from you. If you are tense and you feel a stretch already here in the hip and basically in the right butt cheek, don't do anything else. If you want more, go ahead and reach behind the left thigh. You can do that also. You can push the right knee away. You can pull the left knee in. You could do a combination of both. Pull in, but then use the right elbow to kind of push the right knee out. This should be an intense stretch. If it's not, you're not doing it right. You should feel that in the right butt cheek, which is your glutes, where your sciatic nerve runs through.
My favorite stretch.
It's so good. I tell everyone to do this stretch. If you could pick one stretch in a day, do this one sitting, because if you're not like able to lay down, sitting at your desk, same thing. Like if you imagine that Courtney, if I turned this screen up a quarter turn to the left, it would be like she was sitting in a chair, right? Good, and you can switch. The good thing about doing it on your back is it forces you to have a flat back because you're lying down. So you might feel it more intensely than if you were sitting because, as I said before, our bodies tend to try to do the easiest version of something. We want to compensate. So if you're sitting and you go to keep a flat back, it's going to be harder than if you're just on your back flat. Tighter. So see, sides are not equal. So on this side, that's enough of the stretch for her. Opened up a little bit? Yeah. And then we'll release. Before we rest, I just have to throw one core thing in there because I can't help it. Pilates is just in my blood. So let's take the legs up to the ceiling, both legs. So knees in first and then straighten up. Never lift your, you were right. Never lift your legs straight off the ground when they're flat because that's too much on the lower back. So you're gonna really flex those feet a lot. Good. Now take the right leg and start to lower it down so it's just like an inch above the mat. If that's too intense, don't go so low. And then slowly switch and then you don't need to wait for the leg to return. You know what I mean? You can kind of make it like a scissors and nice and slow and controlled. Good. If you're feeling this in your lower back, don't go so low. Usually you can put hands behind the back. You can also put like a little blanket or something under the back. Absolutely. You're feeling your abs working here? Good. Usually when you do a one leg ab movement, you shouldn't be straining the lower back because the other leg is up there protecting it. But if you do feel that, you stop or you adjust. Let's do a couple more. Just working the abs a little bit. Good. And we'll release. Bend the knees and plant the feet down again. Good. From here, take the soles of the feet together, let the knees splay open, just like we were doing sitting, but try to walk your heels in nice and close to you. So maybe use the pinky edges, exactly. And then we'll reach the arms, just watch the candle behind you, but we'll reach the arms and grab opposite elbows. You guys at home, watch the candles behind you too, you know, just in case you have some really nice zen space with candles, just be mindful. For me at home, it would be my cats that I'd be hitting into, right? Or your dog.
You be lying on me.
My cats too, I don't know what it is, they just love when you're on the floor. It's like they think it's time to play.
You're on my level.
Exactly. So this is our last opening pose here. You know, hips are opening, shoulders are opening. We're taking in everything, and then we're gonna release into our Shavasana. So extend the legs all the way out, and arms resting down by your sides. So classically, our corpse pose, our Shavasana, is lying flat on your back, feet are open about as wide as the mat, palms are turned up. That being said, if you are not comfortable, how can you be a corpse if you're not comfortable, right? Corpses have no tension in their bodies. So if you're not comfy on your back, please adjust it at home. You can put a blanket under your knees or a pillow or lie on your side. I love lying on my belly with my forehead on my forearms. So whatever is comfortable for the next couple of minutes, we'll just do 2 minutes of just peace here and quiet. Don't shut the video off. You need these 2 minutes, okay? I promise you, these 2 minutes are more important than the whole class you just did. So just resting, coming back to that inventory of your body, right? What feels different, even of your mind, what feels different. Maybe it doesn't feel different. That's okay. No judgment, just noticing, right? Yoga is all about building awareness, inside and out. And then just feel like everything is sinking down into the ground. Your shoulders, your limbs are heavy. What's going on with your face? I'm constantly crunching my eyebrows. Release that tension. Drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth. That will give your jaw a little bit of a release. Maybe slowing down the breath. Slowly begin to just bring some movement back to the body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Bringing your awareness back into the room. And then bend the knees into the chest and roll onto whatever side you naturally want to go towards. And slowly begin to make your way back up to a seated position. Hands to heart center, closing the eyes. Take a moment to thank yourself for doing this, especially from home. It is so hard to get motivated with all of the distractions you have in your home. Like we talked about, our pets, our kids, whatever, food, cooking, cleaning, work. So thank you so much for being here. Thank yourself and have a great day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks, Courtney. Bye, everybody.